Hello, welcome to Nurture of Mind. My name's Jacob. I've been practicing meditation for around 7 years, and I am certified to teach through Tibet House Dharma Moon. Today we're going to learn mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation is the core practice of Buddhism. You don't have to be a Buddhist to participate in this. You don't have to know anything about Buddhism. You don't have to be a part of some religious background. You don't have to go against your tradition. This is for everybody. Anybody can participate in this. It's been around, like I said, for 2,500 years. People have been practicing this. I think there's a reason why they would be practicing such a simple, seemingly on the surface thing. Like, what benefits does this have? I think the proof is in the pudding in a lot of ways. I don't believe that people would be practicing this mindfulness technique for 2,500 years if there wasn't positive benefits on the other side. People spent time on this. Trust them. I think for me, I'm always working with a level of thinking I kind of already know what's going on, or coming to things with my preconceived ideas, and then I have to set them down and go, okay, let's actually have this experience that's trying to be handed to me without, I could bring in the know-it-all side of myself, right? I already know this, I've heard of this, I read about this, I know everything I need to know. This specific thing is very interesting because once you have the firsthand experience of, a legitimately mindful moment, or you act differently than you would have if you hadn't practiced your mindfulness prior, it's pretty profound, actually. It's pretty life altering. It's really a superpower. So, let's dive more into mindfulness. So, what is mindfulness? What's the definition? We're learning to pay attention to what's really going on without judgment or bias. So when we're practicing mindfulness, being a human, our mind wanders. It starts thinking about this and that, and the argument we had with our sister yesterday, and the relationship from 3 years ago that you're still kind of mad about. And there's all these, layers of human experience going on beneath the surface here. And we're practicing getting in tune with observing those things without jumping right into the waters of them, without having responses to them. So with meditation, there's stimulus and response, and meditation really carves out more space. It gives a little wedge between the stimulus and the response. And so our same old reactions to things, we might now have a sliver of attention before we just react to those things, before we're just caught up in our reactionary, whether it's overly emotional, or it's angry, or it's too excited, or it just doesn't match the scenario. We all have our responses that in retrospect we go, man, I kind of wish I would have responded differently, right? It's part of being a human. When we practice mindfulness, we have a little bit more space before the reaction to something that actually happens. There is the action and then our reaction. We could be dead asleep and continually having the same reaction, and then we're on the other side going, man, why did I do that thing again? Why did I say that thing again? Why do I keep living the same cycle every month? Why do I keep speaking to people this way, and then I feel guilty about it afterwards? We all know the deals. We have our own versions of each of these things, right? Well, mindfulness, when we practice, it broadens that gap. It truly does. The things that we practice on the cushion, in this container we've created for ourselves. So you say, I give myself 10 to 20 minutes every morning to practice meditation. The time you spend doing that has repercussions and noticeable benefits and effects outside of that container. It's not a matter of let's get as calm as possible, and so when I enter into any situation, I can try to keep this level of calm. That's not what meditation is. You're not negating what you're actually feeling and experiencing to try to replace it with just happy, positive, calm thoughts. No, mindfulness is the act of bringing your attention to the present moment without judgment or bias. You're seeing how things really are, whether that's how you're really reacting, whether that's your internal dialogue, or how someone else is reacting, how external happenstance, what's really going on there. And again, it's a superpower. Being able to have that distance in between stimulus and response is a superpower. So benefits of mindfulness, obviously being less reactive in our everyday life. Anybody could benefit from that. That's something we could all use a little bit of encouragement and practice on, right? We have greater resilience to not be swayed by outside influence. And what does that mean? We're constantly told what we should care about, right? Whether it's on our phones, whether it's, on the news, on TVs, media is constantly telling us what to be influenced by. Cravings, even food. I mean, you maybe you're not craving a certain sugary, delicious snack, and then you walk by the aisle with it, and now it's in your head. Or you weren't thinking about Domino's pizza at all, but then you got a Domino's pizza commercial, or a bus drove by with the ad on it, and suddenly you're like, yeah, I kind of want Domino's, And what we start to notice is that we're continuously influenced by outside, sources. There's things left and right, behind us, in front of us, always telling us what to care about, what to think about, what to focus on. And man, I think the tragedy is that they succeed in a lot of ways. And, we're left on the other side going, man, why did I spend so much time caring about things that I don't actually really care about? I think at the end of our lives, on our deathbeds, I think it'll be nice to look over our shoulders and go, did I spend time caring about things that really mattered to me? In my 24 hours of a day, what did I truly spend my time caring and thinking about? And was that the most important thing to me? Is that something I'm proud that I spent my time focusing on and giving my attention to? So mindfulness helps you with that. It helps you not be so swayed by things that maybe aren't in your best interest, maybe aren't what you even want to be thinking about. A lot of times we're caught in the binary of you're either this or you're that, or you're red or you're blue, or you're one or you're two, or whatever. Sometimes the answer is, man, I'm neither of those. I don't have time for that right now. I'm working on things for my spirit, for my soul. I'm working on my relationship with Jesus. I'm working on my relationship with God. I'm working on my relationship with my child. I don't have time to argue about politics or left or right, or is the dress gold or is it blue, or whatever the media or the current zeitgeist is screaming for our attention about. There's really a magic in being able to go, man, I don't want to lend my attention to that. I don't want to give my valuable resource of my time, of my awareness, of my focus to something that doesn't care about me, to something that doesn't mean much to me in the end. We're also working on equanimity, equanimity through turbulent experiences. We're all dealing with human emotions. I mean, I get ticked off. I get mad, I get angry, I get distracted. I could be like really focused on this one thing, and then someone says something that ticks me off, or somebody does something that really makes me mad, and suddenly I don't really have clarity of what I'm facing, what I'm trying to accomplish here. I'm on this side quest of, angrily arguing with this person, or I'm upset, or now I'm, being a victim of something. I'm in my head thinking I'm inadequate, blah, blah, blah. I'm distracted by happenstance, and it pulls me away from what I really want. And I think when we practice mindfulness, when we practice our meditation, the forefront view of what we know we really want is it stays in view. It doesn't get blurred and confused. We don't pay attention to the wrong things. We get clarity inside of mind. And I think that's obvious. We're wittier when we meditate. We're more precise. Me personally, I'm more patient with myself. My ability to articulate myself has a lot more space. I'm not always like stumbling over my words to try to say the right thing and getting frustrated I can't say the right thing. Sometimes, my brain is moving a lot faster than my mouth can, and those can create frustrations for me. So meditation helps me kind of just give myself a little bit of grace on that, give myself a little bit of distance and patience on that. I can't possibly say everything correctly, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to say before I say it. So just being gentle with myself and allowing things to express themselves in time. Meditation definitely adds to that. I also like to use the analogy frame, or the frame analogy rather, of glasses. So imagine I'm wearing glasses right now. Imagine you're wearing glasses right now. what meditation does often is, we're wearing glasses. Sometimes we're wearing the same glasses for years and years and years and years, and we sleep with them on and we shower with them on, and they never come off. We're on a roller coaster, we go snowboarding, we put our goggles right over those same glasses. You know what I mean? Like they don't ever come off. Meditation gives us an invitation to take the frames off of our face themselves and really kind of sit back and look at those frames and look at how dirty the lens is, how used to all the smudges we have been getting. We're seeing our world view is through these lenses. Maybe they're tinted, maybe they're rose-colored glasses, as we would say. Maybe they're just dingy, and we've been seeing the world through dingy lenses. Maybe there's fingerprints and smudges and bug guts all over the dang things, and we've been seeing our real life as one of bug guts and smudges. And so when we meditate, we're given an opportunity to kind of unconsciously, like, even without our will of intentionally taking the glasses off of our face, there's kind of this background task of those lenses getting wiped off. We're taking the frames off, we're observing the frame itself, of which we see through, of which we interact with the world and interface with the world of. We see, oh, I've been looking at the world through these rose-colored glasses, through these dingy-colored smudged glasses, and that's actually not the truth. So let me take a step back and clean these glasses so I can see things a bit more clearly. Again, we're seeing what's really going on without judgment or bias. You could think of the bug guts and the smudges and the tinting on the screen. Those are your judgments and your bias. Those are additives to what's really going on. What's really going on is the clarity through the lenses, where you don't even notice the lenses in a sense, right? But at some point you need to take the lenses off, see how dirty they are, see how they've been painting the picture that we see in front of us to be something other than it is. And those lenses can also be representative of our childhood experiences, our influences around us. We have our own experiences. We see the world in a different way. We're all wearing glasses, right? And I think it's just massively valuable in such a beautiful way to see one another and see what's really going on when we each take time to clean our lenses. We see and operate on a more cohesive level rather than arguing my smudge versus your smudge, right? I'll give an analogy, or I'll give a personal story. When I first started meditating, I was a few months into it, and mindfulness was like, I was trying a lot of different meditations, but mindfulness was kind of one of the core practices that I had learned. And the proof in the pudding for me was, so I was at the grocery store. I used to deal with panic attacks, anxiety attacks, really debilitating stuff, like get away from everybody, go sit in the car and like have even when I was younger, I would have asthma attacks. I think there was some version of panic attacks, to be honest. You're just lost in the world of your thoughts, and you're not even aware of your breathing. You're not breathing, and you're breathing really, really heavy and light. Breathing way up here, little short breaths, whatever it is. Panic attack, anxiety attack. I'm sure you've had your versions of them. Well, I was grocery shopping. I was with my ex-girlfriend, and it's already an overly stimulating space, right? It's so bright. There's a lot of sounds. There's like certain unspoken rules. There's proximities to other people. There's about 1 million different choices. Like, I'm going to the store to get toothpaste, but there's 78 different kinds of toothpaste. So there's just this overwhelming, in every aisle, there's overwhelming invitations, right? And so someone who deals with anxiety, sometimes just going to the grocery store could be a huge task. And that's how it was for me when I first started meditating. Well, we're shopping and things were going okay, but I started to notice I was getting a little anxious. I was starting to get a bit panicky, really, and starting to like get to this disassociative state where my mind is kind of escaping. I'm overly focusing on my heart's really racing. I'm trying to slow down my breath, but now I'm like controlling my breathing, and I'm manual breathing at this store, and these things start to escalate. I was starting to have a panic attack, essentially. And then this magic thing happened. I noticed I was having a panic attack, right? That seems a little, maybe if you missed it. I noticed that I was having a panic attack. I wasn't just having a panic attack. I was observing Jacob having a panic attack. Like I knew the signs and symptoms. I knew the symbolism behind it. I knew what it looks like and what it feels like to have a panic attack. I remember I leaned over to my girlfriend and I was like, I'm having I'm having a panic attack right now. I'm having a legitimate anxiety attack right now. And she's like, oh, well, what do you need? You need to go sit in the car. Like I'll finish this shopping. I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. And so I almost watched my body throw a fit. I almost watched my mind throw a fit. I I observed the panic attack rather than, it's like watching someone drown, watching yourself drown versus actually drowning and suffocating on the water. There's a difference. Um, and this was because of my practice in meditation. And so honestly, within a few minutes, it's not that I didn't experience any panic. I was sweating. I was uncomfortable. I was experiencing the panic attack for sure, but it wasn't this just, sometimes it just becomes these latches that just keep opening and just fall deeper and deeper into this suffering, into this panic, and you're so panicked, and then you're inadequate, and then you're thinking like, I'm not even capable of going to the grocery store by myself. I'm a terrible human being, and I suck, and there's something wrong. All these levels of layers and trapdoors that keep opening. Sometimes one panic attack, one instance can be enough to really suck us into the vortex of victimhood, of feeling inadequate, of feeling really, really helpless. That was my experience, was feeling really, really helpless. But this magic of experiencing myself in a grocery store, having a panic attack. I mean, within 5 minutes, like I was fine. I was able to finish grocery shopping. Didn't turn into a big kerfuffle between me and my girlfriend at the time. I didn't feel horrible about myself that I'm not even able to like handle a little panic attack. There's this level of being mean to yourself that I'm always working with, that I was working with a lot at that time. Truly, truly noticing this before the momentum gets too carried away is a superpower, and it was built from meditation. So if I hadn't learned the skill of mindfulness through my practice, that situation alone could have just confounded and really built on itself. And yeah, I mean, it's not that you stop any bad feelings from coming up. It's not that you stop having panic. It's not that you stop having anxiousness. These are all parts of being human, but it doesn't wrap itself around your leg and pull you down into the ocean. There's like invitations, there's these doors that are like, hey, you want to freak out? And you can go, no, man, this is actually not a reasonable reaction. Or if you do, maybe you have panic for a few minutes, you're able to really pull yourself out of it. It's really, mindfulness lessens the shelf life of negative emotion. And that is something. That really is something. If you're someone who deals with any sort of depression or anxiety, or bipolar depression, all these labels, right? We've all experienced plenty of them. All these diagnoses, right? It really is an incredible opening to take a different route, or to notice, oh, I'm caught up in this thing, and I could stop feeding into it. I can stop reintroducing the panic, like, oh, I'm having a panic attack. I'm not capable of doing this. I'm suffering. I'm like this I thought, this loop of like how bad and how terrible and how scary this is for you, that really just exacerbates the panic attack, the anxiety attack. You can watch even those thoughts come up and go, I don't need to be feeding this. I don't need to continually give treats to the monster here. I can kind of watch him do his thing. I'll give one more analogy. A therapist brought this up to my attention years ago, and I loved it. I thought it was so useful. I hope it's useful for you. Imagine, if you will, you get a call from a friend, and they're drunk at a bar, and they've been drinking, and they've recently gone through a breakup, and you could tell like they're a little upset. They're calling, they're saying, hey man, I need a ride. I need a ride home. I've been drinking, I can't drive. I know you're not drinking right now. Can you come pick me up? I'm so sorry. I'm the worst friend, whatever. Like this, you're on the other side. You're happy to go pick up your drunk friend, right? We're all in that boat. Like if a drunk friend calls me and says, hey, I need a ride home, I'm in my car ready to go pick him up. I think we're all, it's some sense just like that. Well, what if you pick up your friend and they get in your passenger seat and they're just being mean to themselves? And they're like, I'm such a piece of crap and I'm so incapable of doing these things. And I know this girl left me because I'm inadequate and I suck at this. You're not going to say to your friend, yeah, you're right, buddy. You're right. You do suck. You're an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna pile on to that upset drunk friend the things that their mind is telling them. You're gonna be a friend to that person. You're gonna say, that's okay, buddy. Nah, no, that's not true, man. You're all right. We're gonna get you home. Don't even worry about it. Hey, don't worry, buddy. And you're gonna try to say things, tell me about your night. Don't try to solve all that right now, brother. That's not true. You know that. You know that you guys had your differences. She didn't break up with you because you're a terrible person. Your life is not falling apart. You're just drunk right now, so you're kind of going through it, buddy. You're going to give this kind of, here, brother, like it's all good. So my therapist helped me understand in those moments, there's an invitation to treat my mind as a drunk friend that I just picked up from the bar. So like there's a separateness with mindfulness meditation, especially. This is a practice that you can create space to observe when you're being the drunk victim friend. It's part of being human. We all have our versions of whatever that looks like for us. But if we can separate ourselves from that and observe that, mindfulness gives us that tool, we can treat ourselves with kindness and love and not pile on to what that drunk friend is saying and agree with them. And, oh, you're such a load of turds and, you're incapable and blah, blah, blah. Whatever the drunk mind in that moment is going to be giving them, we can give them the encouragement, the loving, like the, hey, buddy, that's not true. You know it. You're fine. We're going to get you home. Let's get you some food, man. We're going to be okay. I love you, buddy. It's all good. You can provide that level of friendship to yourself. Because that's what we're doing here with mindfulness, is we're learning to befriend ourselves. We're seeing what's really going on and without judgment or bias, accepting it, right? That's mindfulness. So with all that being said, I want to lead a short little practice here. I know you've given me a lot of your patience, and I know that you've hopefully been kind of listening and absorbing these first 20 minutes or so. And I hope it's kind of been working through you and maybe, proliferating things within you and inspire. I hope there's some sort of resonance in what I've shared, because I'm trying to speak to something that we all have. In some levels, we all have just being human, on the human experience, on the human path. Emotions happen, man. But there's an invitation to, instead of saying my depression, there's an invitation to say, I'm experiencing depressed thoughts. Rather than identifying ourselves and getting a whole view of our whole life and who we are based off of these fleeting feelings, trying to paint a whole picture of ourselves, we don't need to do that. We can observe what it means to be human, and we can take these teachings and practices that many brilliant people before us have spent time learning about, trying firsthand, writing about, sharing about, teaching about, and we can kind of tap into that stuff. Like humans have been experiencing humanness for quite some time. It's a bit obtuse for us to think that we should know how to handle it on our own without being taught, or that some of these more traditional, religious, spiritual, like background, traditional is a better word. It really is like, there's some juicy stuff here. These people have spent time learning about this. And for me, when I first started getting into it, I was like, man, it's a bit naive for me to be having lived so long before this, thinking I knew all the answers, or being hard on myself for not knowing the answers. It's like, man, how would I haven't spent time learning about this. Who taught this to me? So is it a matter of us teaching it to ourselves and really feeling what it feels like inside of us. So any of the stuff that I've been teaching or talking about so far, don't take my word for it. Just see how it feels in your own body and investigate it more. I'm always open for more questions. If you're confused about anything, leave a comment, message me, email me, whatever it is that you want to do. I would love to expand more on it, but I'm not trying to teach you anything that's like you're not being quizzed on this at the end. I'm not trying to tell you how it really is. I'm inviting you to investigate for yourself. What does this feel like to you? And I think you'll find that there is there's a through line with a lot of this stuff. There really is something that's like, yeah, that feels kind of how it is for me. So again, don't take my word for it. See how it feels within you and practice it. I think the difference between 0 and 1 when it comes to this mindfulness meditation stuff is phenomenal. It's life-changing. Give it a week, give it 10 days, give it 2 weeks, give yourself this time. 10 minutes, 20 minutes is going to be really ideal. I would love to see 20 minutes a day from everybody, but whatever you got, even 5 minutes is better than no minutes. The distance between 0 and 1 is huge. So take some time to practice this. Now here's the teaching. Let's go for 20 minutes a day. Let's say we're going to do 20 minutes a day. I won't make you sit through 20 minutes in this specific video. I'll give you the teachings, and then I will basically give you like a 2-minute chunk of practice, and I'll be silent for those 2 minutes, and I'll bring us back in after those 2 minutes. We'll talk about it a little bit more, and we'll be on our ways. But in the future, imagine those 2 minutes as being 20 minutes, and eventually we'll get there. But whatever you can do now is totally fine. You can't act from where you're not, right? So the amount of minutes or seconds that you have in you today or tomorrow is enough, man. But today we're gonna just do a little 2 minutes in between. I'll give the intro, we'll sit for those times, a little bit of convo afterwards, and in the future we'll work on getting 20 minutes a day. So the practice itself, 3 super simple, super easy steps. You take your seat, you arrive, you sit down. That's step 1. Step 2, you follow the breath. So that's the sensations. You can feel like a little bit of air coming out of your nostrils, maybe above your upper lip, your mustache, if you have a mustache. You can feel the light sensation of your shirt rustling against your belly as you're breathing in and out. So you place your attention on your breath. There's not doing it wrong here. Whatever that means to you is fine. You'll notice there becomes layers of this, you'll notice it's not as easy as it seems. It's not as direct as it seems, but that's all you do. Step 1, take your seat, arrive, sit down. Step 2, follow your breath. You place your attention on the breath. Again, wherever is most precedent and loud to you, that's what you do. Follow that in, out, in, out. You're not controlling your breath. You're just watching how it really is. And inevitably, because you're human, you're going to float away. You're going to think of something. You're going to think about the breath. You're going to think that I'm doing really good at this. I'm actually pretty good at this. Or I'm not very good at this. This is really hard. This is dumb. I don't get this. I'm bored. Or you're going to be, rehashing this argument you had yesterday. Or you're going to be, you just had the most profound, insane thought ever. And it's the best idea ever. And you have to write it down right now. All these things are going to come up. So what you do when they do come up, you go, oh, I was just thinking. Let's return to the breath. That's step 3. When you notice that you've been thinking, when you notice you've been lost in thought, merely note that, go, oh, that was thinking. Let's return to the breath. And then you go, okay, breathe in, breathe out. And then within a few seconds, I wonder how long it's been. Did I lock my car last night? I have an Amazon delivery today. Hopefully it's not out on my front porch already. Someone's gonna steal it. Oh yeah, returning to my breath. That's what it's gonna be like, continually. So the amount of time that you set aside, you can improve. I think really shooting for 20 minutes is what you wanna go for, but you're gonna notice any amount of time that you'll get lost in thought. And so your step 3 is just returning to the breath. And dude, those are the simple steps. Those are the 3 steps of mindfulness meditation. Do those, you got the gist of it. So some more specifics. If you've never practiced with eyes open meditation, this is the one for you. I want you to try this. I practiced multiple different types of eyes closed meditation. For many years, I did different eyes closed meditation. When I started really dedicating my time to eyes open meditation, I really like it. So I encourage you, it's not the end of the world. You're not failing if you close your eyes. If closing your eyes is what you really need, cool, do it. Sit upright, sit up tight, don't lay down. Notice when you're floating off into things like sleep. Think about it. The one time that we actually close our eyes in our everyday life is when we're going to sleep. So a lot of times closing our eyes is a signal to our whole body, like, all right, well, this is the one time we do the thing called sleep. When you close your eyes, maybe that you're trying to sleep right now. I encourage you to do it with the eyes open. And what they say, I'm sitting here on a stool. You could be on a cushion. You could be on a chair. You want to have your back unsupported. Again, when we're leaning against support, it can cause us to be a little sleepy, a little tired, a little less engaged with the task at hand. I think for me, my mind gets more explorative if I'm leaning back against something. So it's just setting yourself up for, hey man, I told myself I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes. I told myself I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. So it's just, I like to use the term gentle but firm. Meditation requires that. There's a huge act of gentleness. It's all being very gentle with oneself, right? But there needs to be a firmness of, I'm trying to do something here. I told myself I was going to designate this time. I told myself I was going to sit for 20 minutes. So I'm going to stink and do it, regardless of how I feel in the moment. And I mean, the benefits of that in your everyday life just leak over. I mean, it's just a plethora of wonderful benefits from just choosing to do something and sticking to it even when it's hard. So you sit down, your spine is upright. I like to say, you're not trying to hit your head against the ceiling. You're not trying to be the tallest person in the world. You're not trying to embody the greatest meditation position ever. You don't have to make your legs all messed up. You don't have to do any weird hand positions. Sit down, have an upright spine. I like to say, like a flower when the sun comes out in the morning, he's gonna kind of just be a little more perky. Like he sees the sun's rays and it starts kind of like lifting the top of the head of the flower towards the sun. Think like that. It's just a subtle, just upright. You're gonna be grounded. I like to kind of like go back and forth and wrestle on my buttocks there. You're going to be sitting for a while, so you want to be comfortable. You kind of want to find your center of gravity to where you're not leaning too far back, leaning too far forward. Sometimes that takes a few minutes. Like, don't overthink that. If you feel you need to move, then move. You're not gonna. There's nobody in Zen. In Zazen, there's certain practices where if you move, there will be a teacher who like whacks you with a stick or something, in certain lineages of Zazen. And this is not that. This is for you. This is your own experience. You're going to be fidgety. This is not, stillness practice. There's time for that, and that's a fun explorative thing, and you could get into that if you want. But as far as mindfulness practice, just learning basic mindfulness here, don't get too obsessed with sitting completely still. If you need to move, then move. Hands, I like to do just on my lap here. So can't really see my knees fully, but just on your knees. Just sitting flat. It leaves you to have an open chest. Your spine is sitting upright, not too tight, not too loose, as my teacher David Nichtern would say. Your hands are just resting here on your knees if you're in a chair, your feet flat on the ground. And like I said, we're going to do an eyes open with this one. And that's not like eyes wide open staring at a certain spot or whatever, trying to see everything all, what we like to say is a nice soft gaze 4 to 6 feet in front of you. And again, you don't have to grab your tape measure. There's nothing obsessive about the 4 to 6 feet. It's just a nice, not looking out, not anticipating anything. It signals when we're kind of relaxing our mind and bringing our attention right here. We can put it on one spot. In yoga, there's a term called drishi, where you just kind of focus on that one spot, but you're not trying to squint and like try to investigate it. You're just like, that's the center point of your awareness, and the rest is just chilling, right? You're just kind of looking at that and allowing the rest of your vision to glance out. The analogy that's helpful is like an open sky, like you're not trying to squint and see a rocket or a plane in the distance and make out like, what airline is that on the tail? What does it say? You're just seeing the sky. So that's your vision, soft, 4 to 6 feet in front of you. You're sitting upright. Your hands are on your lap, face down. The timer begins. You follow your breath. You Place your attention inwardly, out, in, out. You'll notice without your effort, without you doing anything, the body continues breathing. When you notice you're thinking about something, you just return to the body breathing. Again, there's no wrong here. You're just noticing slight air moving beneath the nose, the movement of the air through your body, how your torso moves a little bit, how your belly breathes slowly in and out. Whatever it is that's loudest to you, most noticeable to you, focus on that, and that is your anchor. You're focusing on the breath. So, if you're ready, I have a little bell. I'll hit the bell. Like I said, we'll go for about 2 minutes. I won't say anything. And then afterwards, we'll report back and see what we experienced. So if you're ready, I have my little bell here and my little timer. I probably should have, this is decorum here. You should probably prepare for your class. So, mindfulness meditation, 2 minutes. Let's begin. All right. So that was just a quick little 2 minutes. I hope that was enough for you to just kind of take a look at what you're experiencing. And hopefully you saw it in a different light than you normally would. When we're learning about meditation, when I'm giving these instructions, when I'm talking about kind of the internal experience, a lot of times we're desperate to understand it, to get to a place where we can stand under it and then act from there, right? Understand it. Well, the interesting thing about a lot of this meditation, spirituality, philosophy, a lot of that stuff is you almost have to train your intellect to get the heck out of the way. You kind of have to let this stuff work through you, and then in retrospect, bring your analytic mind to it. A lot of my experience when I'm listening to meditation teachers and I've been learning a lot about the stuff or reading these books is continuously practicing mindfulness as I'm even learning about it, because I'm wanting to jump in and understand things, and I want to connect the dots, and I want to intellectualize them and be able to explain them. And try to catch like, oh, I missed that word, let's rewind it, and all these things. But really, I think it's just allowing it to work through you. And I think our bodies tell us yes and no. Our internal dialogue doesn't have to be the most important thing here. We don't always have to run to find an answer. We don't have to play the replay of the smoking gun and like, that's the answer, and let me tell it to everybody, and that's what now I solved the problem, and now I never have to be sad again. And it's not that. This is a continuous practice, and you're allowing it to work through you. So I hope what I've said today has worked through you. I appreciate you spending this time. I hope you had some sort of experience with meditation. This channel will be dedicated to everything meditation, mindfulness related. So I'll be offering some more guided meditations. I'll be offering some shorter ones that are actually just guided, to where I give you like just a quick little intro, not such an in-depth, background and the benefits of mindfulness and whatnot. I'll also be offering on this page just kind of daily meditations. I'm probably going to do, meditation for anxiety, meditation for depression, meditation, all these meditation for certain things, and they will guide my discussions beforehand and the specific things that I bring up in those meditations. So please, please, please drop comments or message me or email me. Just any interaction is always great. So like, share this and like this and subscribe and all that stuff. But like, I'm doing this to help people, and I want to know how I can help, So if you had a specific question, please write it so everyone can see, or message it to me, whatever you're comfortable with. And I would love to make a video responding to that question and hopefully kind of demystify some of this stuff. So I'll leave you with that. Everybody, please revisit the page. I'll be uploading some more in time. Let's all work towards doing a 20-minute practice every day. There's nothing wrong with apps or other, like just typing in guided meditation on YouTube and just clicking on one that feels right. Man, totally. Like maybe it's not exactly mindfulness meditation, but it's all pretty similar, and mindfulness is at the core. I'll be continually teaching mindfulness specifically here. You can come back for more, enhancements on your understanding of that here. But nothing wrong with any of the apps. Whatever's going to get you to meditate, like, don't feel guilty about using an app or feel like you're not fully meditating if you're watching a video and following along. Maybe you need white noise. Maybe you need to put some frequencies on in the background. I mean, there's a lot of caveats for sure, but whatever you can do to get a practice underway, do it, man. Do it. So I hope I'm helping, and I hope to see you guys back here next time. So I'll leave you with one last recommendation is going to be the Waking Up app. Sam Harris, he's a neuroscientist. I'm not sponsored by them. It's just an app that I've been using for many years. I just love it. If you like any of this philosophy, spiritual stuff, you like conversations about it, you like learning different types of meditation. There's meditation for kids. There's walking meditation. There's so many different things on this app. The Waking Up app. If you can't afford it, send an email to them and they'll give it to you for free. Literally just say, hey, it's not in the budget right now, but I would love to meditate, and download your app. No questions asked. They will give you a membership for a year. So anyway, Waking Up, check it out. And this has been Nurture of Mind. I'm Jacob. Thank you guys. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.